Hello and welcome to the inaugural edition of the Tachiai video podcast. This is Bruce Henderson, Associate Editor of Tachiai, being joined by none other than the founder of Tachiai, Andy. Say hello, Andy.
Howdy.
So today is a glorious day because the March Banzuke showed up on the website, afternoon time for all of us U.S. fans, and we got to see it while we were still awake. Sorry, Japanese folks, you can get it when you wake up. It was full of wonderful, lovely stuff. So I guess we'll start with a question. So Andy, was there anything really that surprised you about the Banzuke? As we'd spent a great deal of time on the blog talking about it for the last several weeks.
Probably that there was going to be 3 Sekiwake. I thought that they would keep it at 2, but I mean, with Kodo Shogiku's demotion, I mean, yeah, I know that that's the precedent that they make that 3rd Sekiwake, but yeah, the no Zeki situation is starting to creep me out a little bit, and so
Yeah. So something really interesting came up about this Nozeki situation because I guess it's a topic of discussion in the Japanese sumo press as well. By regulation, there has to be 2 Ozeki on any Banzuke.
really.
Yes, and so if say for instance one of them there's only one, the lowest ranked yokozuna is a yokozuna ozeki. If there are no ozeki, the lowest two would be the yokozuna ozeki. So there's always going to be 2 Ozeki on any banzuke.
I gotta go back through because I've actually seen that in some of the earlier basho like banzukes, and it raised like just a little question in my like way back in the 70s, and so I'm gonna have to dig back into the into those historical bashos to see why that came about because I didn't realize that there was a rule for having 2 Ozekis. That's pretty cool.
So the thing that really surprised me, there were two of them. One was the massive clubbing that Tochinoshin got. So I mean, yeah, he was hurt. Yeah, he had a terrible basho in addition to that, but all the way down to Majishira 10. So he's in real trouble. And speaking of demotion follies, um, Osunarashi,
Oh yeah,
way down in the Juro
way
Banzuke
down.
now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I was very surprised by that one because I could see Tochinoshin falling really far. I mean, I didn't have him going quite as far as he did, but like Osuna Arashi going way down to Satoyama level, like that surprised me. But I mean, because he didn't have a overly terrible Basho. I mean, he had 4 wins, so and then he's just super banged up.
yeah, so I'll be interested to see if he's in any better shape coming into Haru because if he's not, he's in real trouble now.
Yeah, I mean that is the key is his health. I mean, if he can keep things going, then more power to him. But I worry about him and I worry about Okinomi. I
Yeah.
mean, I hope those guys are able to put their long term find some miracle cures for their long term health issues. But I mean, I guess that extends to Teruno Fuji too. I mean,
Yeah.
his knees and Kodo Shogiku. I mean, all these guys are a bit banged up, and it probably would serve them well to go if they well. Kodo Shogiku should probably retire. Teruno Fuji. I mean, he's got a career. He's young. If he is able to, I guess, if he's able to save his rank, sit for 2 tournaments, and just heal, I really hope he'll be able to come back healthy.
Yeah.
But I mean, it looks like for Osuna Arashi, we might be looking at a Tochinoshin situation where he needs to go down several levels before he can properly heal up if he can. And I mean, if he can't, then he might want to start getting into coaching or something. But I feel really bad about that because Like, ever since he came up, I've been very, very I have really enjoyed his sumo, and so it's very, very aggressive style, and I've really liked watching it. So I hope he can stay around.
So let's talk about the upper ranks. Really, no huge surprises here. Of
Uh,
course, Japan's gone absolutely berserk for Kisano Sato.
yeah,
And word is that his tachi, his sword, is almost ready. So he should stop borrowing Wakanohana's blade. And I'm really curious. Do you think we'll get to see him and his troubadours in their spiffy new Kesho Mawashi?
I will be very interested to see what they've got. I'm sure that they'll have him decked out with like probably some nice, very lucrative sponsorships and very very fashionable digs. But
So we
I
both
don't know
know
if they'll
that.
be going pink though.
Isn't pink taken?
I don't
I mean,
know.
that's
I mean,
Ura. Ura's pink.
yeah, Ura and Endo,
Yeah.
and I mean, yeah, um, I don't know. I'll be very interested to see if he goes with a black or a like a dark brown, because I think Haruma Fuji was a dark brown for a while, but
Yeah.
it'll be
So
interesting.
so both Ozeki, of course, are well, they're in bad shape. I'm curious to know if Goedo will even be able to compete.
Yeah, my hope is that they both are. Well, my hope for Goedo is that he sits out and he sits out two tournaments and he heals up. That they're like, you've got hardware in your foot. Sit and deal with that. Come back when you're healthy.
He
And
can't even
then,
make it through an airport TSA checkpoint now, can
yeah, I mean, yeah, if you've got like steel holding your joints together, it's not a good idea to go up onto a raised platform and potentially fall. So Teruno Fuji, he needs to heal up too. So I really hope that he's able to put together 8 wins, but it's going to be torture watching it.
he? Yep.
And at least that's the thing. It's tricky because sometimes they get up there and you can feel every ache and groan, and then other times it seems like they've actually got a good day where they put together a good match, and you're like, oh well, maybe
Yep.
put 6 more of those together. But yeah, we'll see. And so hopefully he'll be able to power some people out the first few days and not have to, I guess, grind out the whole tournament and get a 16th, a 15th day like win. But we'll see.
So yeah, kind of interesting to see that we've got three Sekiwaki now. Of course, the Tamawashi Takayasu competition there. Both of them trying to club each other to death to see who's going to get an Ozeki spot next. And it's really not even going to be that easy for either one of them.
Yeah, no, I mean Tamawashi is a bit of an unknown for me. I still he seems like he just popped up out of nowhere, and so I got to go back through the data because I know he's been there for a while as a solid Rikishi, and it's just kind of all of a sudden. Whereas Takayasu, I mean he's been strong for a couple of years, and he has his tournaments where I mean he sticks around the Sanyaku levels,
And
um,
Kisano Sato is training the daylights out of him too.
and he's been able to be pretty healthy. I think he's had maybe one tournament that was Kyujo,
Yeah,
and so I hope that he's able to put together a good Ozeki run.
yeah, he's got
Oh,
that Takayasu um, thing going for him. So, and the reason why Tamawashi and Takayasu aren't going to have an easy time, of course, is the power couple down at Komosugi, Mitaka Yumi and Shodai. Those guys are gunning, gunning
Yeah.
for a slot, and they are nothing to be trifled with.
And that's the thing, yeah, for both of them, they're so young and fresh and new to the Makuuchi that their rise has been pretty impressive. And so I'm hoping that it'll be interesting to see I guess the senior Sekiwake with Tamawashi and Takayasu, how they're able to hold off Mitakeumi and Shodai, if they are, and who gets the real Ozeki run
Yep.
first. That'll
Yep.
be interesting.
So fascinating that the upper Sanyaku are beat up and in damaged condition, and the lower Sanyaku are all fresh faces, hard charging, well trained, and ready to take them all apart. This, I think we've talked about this before, you and I, is that we're at the cusp of a changing of the guard.
Yeah, it'll be very sad to see all of them. Uh, all of the senior Sanyaku are very interesting. They've all had great careers. I think the only one that I'm probably uh, with Kakuryu, I just felt he might have gotten elevated a little bit soon. But he's been a good Yokozuna, but you can't be a Hakuho.
Who can except for Hakuo?
Exactly. So he's gonna have his few years in there, and he's probably got a couple more. Hopefully, and that's the thing with him. I'm hoping that he gets over the injuries and actually gets some good quality stretches in the Bansuke, and not just getting scraping by with 8, 10 wins. I'm hoping to see him really compete a few times this year. But yeah, we'll see. But the thing is, those lower Sanyaku guys are bringing the noise. They're bringing the funk.
Yeah.
So they will definitely give all of the Yokozuna a run for their money, and probably the only one that's up for the challenge is Kisana Sato. So it'll be very interesting to see how he does in his first tournament at that level.
Yeah, so
I'm
week
hoping that
one,
he
when he's going
competes.
through all the upper Majashira and the lower Sanyaku, I'll be fascinated to see if, like what happened at Hatsu, if he looks like when he's up there on the doyo, if he's thinking about how he's going to wax his car, rather than what it's like, oh yeah, something is going on. Oh yeah. Gee,
Yeah,
am I picking up sushi on the way home? What am I supposed to be doing? So yeah, the upper Magashira. I think the real overarching story here is, it's going to be up to see what kind of meat grinder is applied by the Sanyaku ranks to these upper level Magashira guys. Is that we have I think a really solid crew in Majashira 1 through 7 this basho.
Yeah.
And that everyone, of course, because Yokozuna and Ozeki were in terrible shape, but every one of these people did fantastic in the last basho. So, what do you think about crowd favorite Ikioi now at Majashira 1?
I like seeing him there. He has not really been able to sustain that high of a rank for more than a tournament. He gets into these runs where he'll have a 1-win tournament or a
Yep.
4-win tournament, and when he's ranked this high. So I'm hoping that he sticks with it and that he's able to, especially with all these guys so injured,
Yeah.
or fading, that he'll be able to compete. I think we'll see some really interesting matches with him and Mitakeumi and Shodai, and having Sokokurai up here this high, it's gonna be. That's a new element to me.
So Sokokurai, right, and Takikaze are sitting in Majashira 1 and 2 slots. A victory for the old guys. Victory for experience.
Yeah, and Sokokurai, his story has just been amazing. Like 2 years out of sumo for the whole Yaocho situation or whatever, and then being able to fight his way back in, and then going all the way up to Maegashira too. And after that last tournament, I mean, he's looking pretty solid. I think this will be his test to see whether he actually has what it takes to kind of stay at these upper levels, or if he really is just kind of the solid Maegashira like Takekaze. I mean, I don't think Takekaze is going to be making a run for Sanyaku or anything like that, but I mean, he's probably making a run for the coaching job pretty soon. And I mean Yoshikaze too. Like
Oh yeah.
Yoshikaze, he's gonna come out of this tournament bloody, and it'll be entertaining. It'll be great to watch, but they'll be squeaking by, hopefully with some 8 wins there. But those three, I could easily see them picking up some really bad numbers up there. But we'll see.
Well, if the Yokozuna are hurt, we're probably going to see a lot of Kinboshi this time around too, won't we?
Yeah. Well, and I mean, Haruma is always bleeding King Boshi, so it seems like, if I mean, especially if they're lower ranked Maegashira, he seems to somehow, I don't know, be too over aggressive or something,
Yeah.
and they kind of luck out a win.
Yeah, not as focused is what it seems like.
Yeah, yeah, and it's been a little bit unfortunate, but I mean, Haruma Fuji's always trying to, I guess, just overcompensate for the fact that he is so small, and he has to be so agile when trying to wrestle some of these like bigger guys. So we'll see, but
So let's talk a little bit about the lower Majashira ranks. I was kind of impressed how high they inserted the Juryo promotees. So Daisho and Ura, I mean, Daisho's at Majashira 11 and Ura's at Majashira 12. That's pretty high. Any thoughts on
yeah,
that?
yeah. I mean, I'm like you. I'm not thinking that they're gonna have very powerful performances at that level. I mean, Ura has put on some weight, so
Yep.
he's not going to be necessarily like pushed
Yep.
around, but now he's still, I mean, he's right up there with Ishiura, and I mean, Tochiozan is right there. He's going to be competing against Kotoyuki, Tochiozan, and those are some solid. Kageyaki has been really solid, and so
So
they're going to pick up some losses.
so you mentioned Ishiura, and Ishiura is he looked pretty humble last time. Do you think he might have recovered a little bit, and maybe he can make a better showing this Basho?
I hope so.
I
I
hope
hope
so
so.
too.
I mean, I think he's got a lot to learn, because that's the thing, being so small, if you're not going to be putting on the pounds and picking up I guess, the easy wins of just being able to hold your place, you've really got to have some tricks up your sleeve. And I mean, when you see some of these like wily veterans who are just basically pulling out henkas all the time, you can't be doing that. You've got to actually be winning, and I mean, Chiyono Fuji was somebody who could do it tournament after tournament. There haven't really been many that have been that small, especially anytime recently, who've been able to
Yep.
go up against these guys and
Yeah.
stay healthy without being just batted off like flies. So,
So just briefly before we wrap, let's discuss Juryo a little bit. So Gagamaru is back in Juryo now. I mean, he really didn't make too much of an impression up in Makuuchi at all, did he?
no, no, he'll probably be down there for a couple of tournaments. I mean, he seems to yo-yo between the two.
Do you actually think he can come back?
Yeah, I mean, he's getting pretty long in the tooth, I guess.
Yeah.
So I imagine he will be back once or twice, because I mean, that lower level Maegashira and the upper Juryo, they're always kind of about the same um, uh, capability.
Yeah, it's like a
And
merry-go-round.
exactly, yeah, they all just kind of rotate. Chio Otori, if he can stay healthy, he'll be back up
Yep.
there. I mean, Toyo Hibiki is another one, but
Yep.
he's getting a little bit old, so I mean, we'll
So,
see.
so you're talking about the merry-go-round. I want to bring up two names that, I'm very concerned don't seem to be finding any traction. Specifically, Amakaze and Yamaguchi, both of which seem to have very promising, promising paths ahead of them, but they've really been stuck in Juryo for a while.
Yeah, I mean, I seem to remember Amakaze coming up like once
Yeah,
and
it was Aki.
going really, I mean, pretty quickly back down. I don't know if it may just be that they found their little niche, like the Satoyama level where they come up every so often, and yeah, I don't know if they'll be able to. I don't know. I don't see them as solid Maegashira, people that stick around like Sokokurai. I mean, Sokokurai is not somebody who's going to be in the upper Maegashira for long, but he will be in that lower Maegashira at least for the long haul. He's clearly a lot more skilled than an Amakaze or a Yamaguchi. I mean, they're they're good, and Amikaze is big. I mean, Amikaze is a big dude,
Yeah,
but
he is.
he doesn't have, I guess, I mean, the skill and the agility that you really need to be somebody who can hang around the Makuuchi for a long time. So,
Cool. So before we close, I want to mention my favorite. Wakiichiro is now Jonakuchi 5. So he moved up nicely from his first tournament. We're hoping he has some great action, some great bouts here in Osaka, and we look forward to seeing where he goes next. So,
yeah.
Andy, thanks a bunch for joining me on this inaugural and debut video podcast from the guys at Tachiai. And I will point out that you can follow us on Twitter, Tachiai. We're, of course, tachiai.wordpress.com at the moment. Probably coming soon to Facebook. And let me plug daily videos from Kintama Yama as well as Jason's All Sumo channel. Thank you very much, Andy. Have a great day.
Thank you.
And remember, for sumo, it's Tachiai.